Protests have erupted in the US state of Wisconsin after police shot a black man who was unarmed. Video posted online appears to show Jacob Blake being shot in the back. He's in a serious condition in hospital. Tensions in the US are high over police brutality and racism after a series of violent incidents against black Americans. The Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden said the officers in Wisconsin must be held accountable. Well, our correspondent Aleem Maqbool is in Wisconsin for us this evening. Aleem.
Yes, that African-American man, Jacob Blake, is fighting for his life in hospital this evening. That's after, according to the Lieutenant Governor, he was shot 7 times in the back by an officer in front of his children. Now, police have yet to offer an explanation about what happened, but a lot of people have already made their minds up, including these protesters already gathering tonight. That's on the basis of the evidence they've seen in the disturbing video footage that was taken of the incident. It's become a familiar scene. Angry protests after the police shooting of a black man. This time it's Wisconsin, where in the early evening officers had been called to deal with a domestic disturbance. In mobile phone video, 29-year-old Jacob Blake is seen walking around his car, followed by officers with their weapons drawn. As he opens the door, an officer pulls on his shirt and several shots are heard. Onlookers start screaming and the car horn blares as Mr. Blake slumps over the steering wheel. A prominent civil rights lawyer says Mr. Blake's 3 sons were in the vehicle at the time. Police say they immediately offered medical assistance, but Jacob Blake remains in a serious condition in hospital. Some witnesses told local news channels he'd been trying to stop a fight between 2 women, but details of what led up to the shooting are still emerging. The reaction came quickly, though, with hundreds taking to the streets. Trucks that had been moved into place to block protesters were set on fire.
We're tired of it. And right now, this is the wrong generation that this is happening to. The frustration is boiling to the top, and we're sick and tired.
Eventually, an emergency curfew was imposed, and the state leader was quick to link this incident to others, like the killing of George Floyd.
You think after the past few months of people who are stepping up to demand justice that police departments, chiefs of police, even police unions would rush to implement some sort of reform. But that hasn't happened, or else you wouldn't have seen the actions that we all had to see last night.
The officers involved have been put on administrative leave and an investigation opened. But it is less than 3 months since George Floyd was killed, and the concern for many African Americans has been that in spite of the outrage over that death, little of consequence has really changed. Aleem Maqbool, BBC News in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Well, our North America editor John Sopel is at the White House for us. John, Joe Biden has weighed in on this issue, but so far President Trump has stayed silent.
Yeah, and Donald Trump, as we know, is not normally coy about expressing his views on subjects the way he wants to get his view across. And it was the start of the Republican convention today, and he was scheduled to give brief remarks. Those brief remarks went on for 52 minutes, and at no point does he mention anything about what unfolded in Wisconsin. As you say, Joe Biden has called for a full and thorough investigation, and that those people who are responsible must be held accountable for what unfolded. Donald Trump seems much more comfortable talking about the lawlessness that might follow a shooting than maybe the excessive force of white police officers against black people that may lead up to it, or whether there are questions of systemic racism. And all this comes at an awkward time because it is the start of the Republican convention. Donald Trump wants to talk about the economy, wants to talk about how COVID might soon be in the rearview mirror, and he's being dragged back to a subject that he doesn't want to address. That said, Republican strategists say it's going to be a very positive convention this week, although Donald Trump started talking very negatively about the possibility of electoral fraud and that the Democrats might try to steal the election.
John, thank you. John Sopel there.